Good morning, everybody. Um, I hope you had a great recess week, and I hope that you had the chance to, in this case, rest your minds, rest your bodies, and sometimes it's kind of hard to retake the rhythm, retake the pace after the recess week. But anyway, I've been a little, in this case, it's a little sick, but it's just, I guess it's just a cold. So welcome, Renata, Caroline, Fran, Martin, Scarlett, Antonia, Paula. And as far as I remember, we were dealing with unit number 3. I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys. And we started unit 3 about health and lifestyles. And you already sent me your assessments in this case. I asked my assistant to start correcting the papers, and also I'm going to start doing it. And so I hope to have your grades for the second assessment for the for and against essay next week. Next week, I hope to have your, in this case, qualifications. And well, talking about the rest of the semester, in this case, we still got 1 month in this case, a little bit of one more than 1 month. So we are right here on this week from the 21st to the 25th. We should be studying, in this case, illness, disease, and injuries, talking about past perfect continuous, used to, be used to it, to get used to. Then next week, for example, we got a holiday on the 28th. So next Monday, there's no classes. What else? Yeah, then we should be talking about treatment and alternative medicine. And then next month, the recess week is this week from the 12th to the 15th. July 16th is a holiday too. And then we are gonna finish, in this case, studying, like contents by the 15th, more or less, by the 15th of July. And then we're gonna have the final assessment, which is the applied grammar test. It's pretty much about vocabulary and the grammar structures studied in the throughout the term, throughout the semester. And it's going to be online, of course, on UCampus with the tool pruebas, creo que test o evaluations, pues algo así se llama, which is right here. Tests. And I think it's going to be about 30 questions, and I'm going to give you enough time. I'm going to give you enough time to answer. What else? And then the last week of July is pretty much the receipt week, which is como la semana recuperativa que le llaman, ¿cierto? With todos los receipts, digamos, las pruebas recuperativas y todo eso. Yeah. And what else? I don't know if you got any questions so far, any comments before we continue the lesson. Porque, como te digo, nos queda un mes, básicamente. That's all we got. So here we go. So as I told you, we were studying Unit 3, in this case, about health issues in general. Uh, si mal no recuerdo, me corrigen si me equivoco. Yeah. We studied about, in this case, health and medicine words, vocabulary, and stuff like that. Um, and also we were dealing about a little bit of structures, dealing with, in this case, health problems, uh, you know, different, in this case, chunks of language, o frases, digamos, que se utilizan. Uh, how do you feel, how are you, how do you feel today? Uh, no recuerdo si con esta sección o la otra hicimos como una especie de actividad con diálogos, ¿cierto? Eh, y si no fue con usted, me retornó, porque había que, hicimos un breakout rooms, ¿cierto? Con Zoom, para poder utilizar el vocabulario, ¿cierto? How do you feel? What's the matter? I'm sorry to hear that, ¿cierto? Y todo ese tipo de comentarios, digamos, simulando una conversation. Eh, cuando usamos también el vocabulario, en este caso decimos I have, plus the health problem, for example, or I've got in British, plus the health problem, ¿cierto? Podemos decir, in American English, normally we can say I have, I got. In British English, we say I've got. So both, the auxiliary verb and plus the past participle. I've got a headache, for example. I've got a heartburn, or I got a backache. I got a broken leg, you know, um, and so on. And also we use feel, feel sick. I feel bad. Feel terrible. Feel awful. Uh, I got some symptoms, for example. You can say, I don't know, I got a fever. I got, for example, problems to breathe and stuff like that. And regarding health problems, there's a lot of vocabulary anyway. This is pretty much like an ending, because there are many different pathologies, there are a lot of different symptoms regarding pretty much a lot of different issues and diseases. And some of them are, for example, asthma, which is pretty much a pathology in this case, or a condition, let's say, condition. Backache is a symptom. Broken leg is a specific health issue. And then you got, broken legs, twisted ankles, which is different. It's not broken, but it's twisted, Um, it's like la torcedura, we say, twisted. Um, the broken es quebrado, totalmente, ¿cierto? Cold, which is pretty much what it got now. A cough, which is sometimes a symptom to many different things, from COVID to, I don't know, just a simple cold. An earache in this case, which is like the typical otitis, which is very painful. If you've had an earaches before, I remember that I wanted to die because I got something like like an infection in my ear, and it was like horrible. I took, I don't know, like 3 ibuprofens, and they didn't work. And fever, which is a symptom to many different things, from COVID to or other types of infections, viruses, bacteria, etc. The flu, or also called the influenza, um, which is, I think, it's stronger than a cold, but not so stronger as COVID. What else? Headache, which is a symptom to a lot of different things, from migraines to a brain tumor and COVID. Headaches can be just, or simply because just, playing a lot of video games, and then you can have a headache. Heartburn, okay, that's in this case, I also suffered from this heartburns. In this case, this is pretty much like when you eat like too much, and then you got all the acids, coming up, and especially in the night, for example, you eat too much in the night, you can't sleep because of the fluids. But when it is constant, it is a symptom to something else, a bacteria, for example, the famous Helicobacter pylori, or for example, uh, any other problem, that gastritis, and so on, uh, or esophagitis. That's another thing, that I didn't know it existed, but I had that thing, esophagitis. Um, the measles in this case, which is pretty much like a typical pestis, uh, or the rush in this case. Uh, I might say that I pretty much got like I have, or I suffered from pretty much 50% of the things here. Rashes too, because I am allergic to many things. So rashes are typical in my case, and to, I don't know, dust and uh, and stuff like that. Sore throat, which is, well, another symptom to uh, a typical pharyngitis, laryngitis, or tonsillitis, and then you got a sore throat. Um, Stomach aches for many different reasons, um, which is a symptom to to gastritis, or just um, even cancer. It's terrible, but it is a stomach ache can be a symptom to many things. Uh, Sunburns in this case, which is typically when you fall asleep in the beach, or don't use your sunblock, don't wear your, in this case, protection. And toothache, which can be any tooth, uh, or sometimes it is caused by cavities, caries, cavities, and so on. So we could be talking about this like the whole day. But I think I'm going to include in the test. I'm just going to include some vocabulary from in this case from the slides. I'm not gonna We're not gonna deal with a whole range of vocabulary. I'm just gonna deal with the slides. And this is pretty much yeah, verbs related to illness in this case. And some vocabulary about the medical practitioners. Um, for example, come down with, which is in this case to get an illness that is not very serious. For example, coming down with a cold. I keep sneezing and have a runny nose, so you know that you're sick in this case. Get over something is to return to one usual state of health after an illness. Como recuperarse, let's say. Get over. Sid got over the flu, or I don't know, like people are getting over COVID-19. It takes some time, but they do. What else? Um, Fight off in this case is like avoid getting sick, or free oneself from an illness. Like I thought I was getting a cold, but I fought it off. I could get rid of it. I fought it off. Me la saqué de encima. I got plenty of rest yesterday, and today I feel fine. Yep, it's pretty much the same idea. And breakout in, which is typical thing when you're an allergic like me, and you break out in hives, you break out in a rash, and stuff like that. The worst thing you can do when you're an allergic is to scratch yourself. When you start scratching, then you got all that sun that really red, and then you got a really ugly rush. Um, so suddenly begin to sweat or develop a rash on your skin. Grace often breaks out in hives when she gets the flu. So in that case, that's pretty much like cuando te salen granitos y te salen cosas por el estilo, sarpullidos. Okay, and that was one. That's like a model for an activity, like a role play in this case. I don't think we can practice right now because we don't have like too much time. I think that we should move on with the in this case with the contents. And so past perfect, this is one of the things that we should be revising in this case. Past perfect has different uses in the past, and normally we can combine it with the simple past form, okay, and which is kind of important to understand because you can use it alone in a phrase, but also it makes more sense when you use it in a different context, in combination with more words. Normally, past perfect tense is used, for example, with the conditional tenses, um, like regrets about the past, and in this case, for example, we talk about things that were not the way we wanted. For example, like if I had studied more, I could have had a better mark. If I hadn't in the negative, if I hadn't, I don't know, said that thing, uh, we wouldn't have fought that way, blah, 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 blah. Normally talking about regrets. That's one use of past perfect. Another use is for actions finished before another past action. So we got two events in the past. And also we have actions happened before a specific time in the past. Which is like sometime is could be really specific, and in that case to specify, the moment in the past we use expressions of time. And what else? Also, we can use not only expressions of time, but we can use adverbs like in the middle. And I'm going to show you some examples. Another use of the past perfect is action started in the past and continued up to a given time in the past. From point A to point B in the past. Cause and effect, which can be combined with past simple, and emphasize the result of an activity in the past. So all of these different uses. And I can show you some examples here. Now, for the first use, Richard had gone out when his wife arrived in the office. So you got two events in the past. One happened before the other one, right? Remember that with the past, in this case, perfect, we use auxiliary verb had or haven't in the negative, which is the same for all the personal pronouns, plus the past participle. Also, second example, for example, Christine had never been to an opera before last night. Okay, so in this case, you can see uh, an adverb in the middle, had never. You put it right in the middle between the verbs in this case. And last night, specifying in this case the time, when it was. What else? The next example in this case, we had owned that car for 10 years before it broke down. So in this case, you're describing a period of time with the past perfect and then an interruption using the simple past. Give me a second. Me quedé seco de tanto hablar. Y ahora sí. Hold on. Oh, so really that. Well, whatever. I'm gonna find it later. Um, then the next example, I got stuck in traffic because there had been an accident. So in this case, we need to use the connector because we're describing cause and effect, and we use it first with simple past in this case in combination with the past perfect. Okay, because there had been in this case. And to emphasize the result in this case, I had been to London twice by the time I got a job in New York. So again, we're combining, past perfect with simple past. Um, but we need to use in this case like more expressions of time, like by the time in this case, twice, etc. And then you can see here some it says time expressions, but there's pretty much like adverbs plus time expressions: already, yet, for, since, just, after, before, until, the moment that, by the time, etc. Okay. Um, so any questions so far? Any comments? You can type a comment in the chat room, or you can use the microphone if you want to ask a question. No problem. You can check out here the structure pretty much, which is kind of simple. Subject plus had plus past participle. In the negative, you add not. And in the question form, you change, the order in this case. You put had first before the subject. Um, moving on in this case, we can I think practice a little bit with the structure. It's 9:20, so what we can do is establish the difference between past perfect and past perfect continuous, and then practice. 5 minutes. Basically, past perfect continuous is really similar, but we add ing. So and you can see here, for example, the structure: subject plus had, but then been is constant. With the past perfect continuous, been is always there, and been that never changes in this case. What changes is the ing. So what is in this case the main verb in this structure is the ing, or the gerund in this case. So playing in this case could be, I don't know, studying, working, and that's going to be the main verb. Okay, the rest are auxiliaries. Have, haven't, plus been, auxiliaries. And the usage in this case: the past perfect continuous is used in this case to express a past action that already started and continued up to another action or time or point in the past. For example, the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. So what is the difference, with the past perfect simple? That in this case, we are describing more in detail what happened in a certain period of time. Okay, so the boys had been playing soccer for about 1 hour, so that's very specific, you know and and it's important. We describe that period because it is important to understand the context. Okay, what was going on at that period of time. So we are very specific, and we say for about an hour, because it's important for the conversation in this case. When it started to rain, and then we use simple past to cut the action in this case. It's an interruption of the continuous event, right? um, Normally we use connectors in this case, like when, which is used as is a relative in this case. It's a relative adverb, but it is used as a connector too when it started to rain. What else? Emphasize the duration of an activity in the past. Richard needed a holiday because he had been working hard for 6 months. So again, we combine past perfect continuous plus the simple past, but we use, in this case, past perfect continuous to emphasize the duration of the action to understand the context, um, because he had been working hard for 6 months, all right? It is also maybe to understand, decisions, right? Why Richard took or made that decision, okay? Um, he had been working for 6 months. Yeah, again, and also the expression of time is really specific, for 6 months. Also, we got express cause of something in the past, like he was tired because he had been jogging. In this case, we use it to describe in this case, the cause or the reason for something else, for a decision, etc. He was tired because he had been jogging, right? Again, combining simple past with the past perfect continuous. Some time expressions used in this case: when, before, by the time, for, since, etc. Right? Um, a little bit more of explanations. In this case, we got the comparisons, the things that we've been doing so far. Past action already finished when another past action happened. Past action which started in the past continued to happen after another action. Yeah, I think it looks like a pretty much good explanation. For example, I met them after they had divorced each other. Sarah had been working here for 2 weeks when she had the action. You can see that in this case, when we use past perfect continuous, we need to be more specific about the time expression. Okay, here for 2 weeks. Okay, but in the previous example, there's no specification in this case. What else here? Emphasize the results, duration. I, I'd in this case, contraction. I'd been to London twice by the time I got a job. Richard needed a holiday because he had been working. Lo mismo que un delante, pero ahora como en comparación directa. Okay, pretty much clear, I think. For 6 months, which is more specific. Yeah. What else? Two events in the past. Show the cause. Couldn't take my flight because I had forgotten my boarding pass. I'd been traveling all night, so I was tired. Yeah, in this case, we use because, and the other case we use so. Yeah, very good. It was pretty much the inversion because when we use because is porque, y el so is por lo tanto. So, it's like pretty much like in the reverse, Very good. If there are no questions, so we can practice a little bit then. Here we go. Let's practice. And if you are still there, we can do this together. We got 5 minutes left. So here we go. Make the past simple or the past perfect continuous. Okay, we need to choose. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much like we need to guess the other half. Yes. Bueno, en la 1 toca poner la otra parte. Yeah, let's do it. Dice, I BBB for hours, so I was really glad when the bus finally. Okay, I got it. Any theories for number 1, guys? You can type it in the chat room if you want. You can use the microphone if you want, whatever you want. I got my choice anyway. So remember, always we use auxiliary verb had or hadn't in this case. With the past perfect continuous, we always use been plus the ing. And this is simple past, past perfect continuous. En este caso no deberíamos usar el past perfect simple. Siempre va a ser past simple y en past perfect continuous. I'm going to read the chat room. Fran dice waited. All right. Ajá, sí. Eso es parte de. Ah, pero. Ti, 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 ti. Let me check. I waited for hours. So I was really glad when the bus finally. Si fuera waited, tendría que ser had been arriving. Had been waiting, Fran? Yes. Easy. I had been waiting 4 hours. So I was really glad when the bus finally. Simple past. ¿Cuál sería el simple past de arrive? Arrived. Very good. Thank you, Fran. Okay. Good job. Let's continue. Number 2 in this case. Why the baby's face so dirty? He eat chocolate. I got it. Es como, ¿por qué? Bla, 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 bla. La carita del bebé es tan sucia. Ah, ¿por qué? Porque él chocolate. Traten de imaginarse la escena. Más fácil. Remember, ¿cierto? Una va a ser simple past y la otra va a ser past perfect continuous. ¿Ok? Ya, encuentro que está re fácil, pero el problema es la hora. La hora no es muy fácil. 9:28 de la madrugada, entonces. Any ideas? Daniela had been eating chocolate. Fran had been eating. Absolutely yes. He had been eating chocolate. Very good. Entonces la primera tiene que ser simple past. ¿Cuál es el simple past de be? Was. Good job, friend. Why was the baby's face so dirty? He'd been eating. You can use contractions also. No sé si en este webpage, pero cuando hablan tipo he'd been waiting about, he'd been eating chocolate. Okay. We'd, oh, sonó como we'd been eating chocolate and stuff like that. All right, number 3. No le aguanta a nadie que dije hierba. Weed. Yeah, number 3 dice. John yesterday, but he ran, so he was too tired to chat. Es como decir que, oye, vi al Juan ayer y como que estuvo corriendo mucho, como que había estado corriendo, así que está muy cansado para hablar. Una cosa así, ¿no? What do you think? What do you say? Daniela saw. All right. I saw John yesterday, but Fran, saw had been running. There you go. He had been running. So he was too tired to chat. Good job. Good job, ladies. Number 4. It and the pavement covered with puddles. All right. Hay muchas cositas en el suelo, en el pavimento. Okay. Ah, claro. Primero hay que explicar como lo que pasó, para lo primero que pasó, como para Y eso, digamos, después lleva a la consecuencia que sería que el pavimento dice cubierto con cositas de agua. ¿Cómo podríamos explicar entonces la primera parte de number 4? Tienen dos opciones. It rained or it had been raining. Daniela dice it had been raining, and I agree with her. It had been raining, and the pavement covered with puddles. Fran dice was. Very good, ladies. Excellent. Pavement was covered with puddles. Y aquí vamos a hacer el check al tiro. A ver. Este está okay. Number 2 is okay. Number 3 is okie dokie 2. And number 4 is perfect score. Flawless victory. Vitality. So number 5. Dice, dice cuando yo, it was clear. So she, okay. There were papers all over the floor and books everywhere. All right, I got it. Daniela dice was. Es como decir, cuando yo llegué, estaba claro que ella había estado trabajando. ¿Por qué? Porque habían papeles por todo el piso y libros por todos lados, una cosa así. Se la regalé. When I arrived, yeah, good, Daniela. Fran arrived, had been working. There you go. When I arrived, it was clear she had been working. Good job, ladies. Nice job. Check. Perfect. Very good. Entonces, estamos ya porque quedan 5 más, pero eso ya es más o menos la idea, ¿cierto? Es parecido a, porque Past Perfect Continuous es parecido a Past Perfect Simple, con la diferencia de que Past Perfect Continuous es más específico. Describe más la acción, digamos, que ocurrió en el pasado. Ok. Dejémoslo hasta aquí nomás, chiques, porque ya son las 9:34. For me, that's knowledge. There you go. Ok, pretty cool. Bueno, ustedes saben que esto queda grabado, así que voy a subir al tiro. Un 7 al toque, dice la Daniela. All right, and have a great day. See you tomorrow. And that's all for today. Bye bye. No se me ocurre nada que decir. Bye bye. Bye fish. Que estén bien. Cuídense. Sayonara desu. You too. Take care. You're welcome, Antonio. Welcome, Danila.